Hey guys, this is P.M.R.Bonez88, and today for my next horror slasher movie review that I'll be talking about today is Hellraiser. The director Clive Barker, and of course the author of his famous book, which was known as The Hellbound's Heart. However, this movie was much more not like of a slasher movie, but much more of a horror, goriest fantasy horror movie that Clive Barker directed this film. However, Clive Barker was the director to bring this the new step of horror film, and a quote from Stephen King that he said, "I have seen the future of horror fiction, and his name is Clive Barker." So this movie starts out. Where Frank takes the box and he somehow solves it. It was actually a gateway between either heaven or hell. What it did, it took him, but it didn't kill him. It didn't take his soul or anything. All it did was just tormented him, tore his whole body apart. All you see is blood, flesh, organs, and skins. All you see were just his face. He was all messed up, all torn apart. The Cenobites, they're not actually the main character. You don't really see them, so I wasn't really that disappointed. But it was the first time that I saw Hellraiser, and I think it was much more gory, much more horrifying, more terror than all the other horror slasher movies, like Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, or Halloween, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So this was a new step of the goriest, most horrifying movie that I ever saw. So during the film, Frank's brother Larry buys the house along with his wife Julia. They buy the house and they decide to move in, and somehow Larry gets wounded, gets cut real deep on his hand, and blood drips down on the floor. Underneath the floor there's of course Frank's heart, and all of a sudden the floor starts to shake, and that's where Frank comes back to life. It's all a drop of blood. It's a couple of drops of blood to bring him back. So he comes back, but not in fully human, all fully flesh or skin. All you see is he comes back like a dead, oozing skeleton, and with all the details with the makeup and all the effects, it's seeing him all horrifying, he's skeletal oozing corpse. It's ugh, it was so gross. It didn't really gross me out. It didn't really terrify me. It was so I don't know how to say this, but I don't want to say gory so many times, but it was more horrifying to me. So Frank finds, so Julia goes up to the attic, and he finds his dead ex-boyfriend. Well, not really ex-boyfriend, but they did make love before, on the day before where Frank died, and after where Larry and Julia got married. So Julia helps Frank brings all these men just so he could be back to his normal state. When he sucks I don't know how he sucks the blood, the skin of them, he takes his finger and just you hear the sucky effect, almost sucking with a straw, comes out of his fingertips, and all the the veins, the artery, he comes back and it's making him whole again. So he comes back, but not into full strength. He comes back only into his own skinless self again. So the only way to get new skin, so he takes Frank's brother's skin, his brother's skin, and disguising himself as Chrissy's dad. So Chrissy Condon is the protagonist, the main character, hero throughout the whole film, and Frank is the antagonist character as well. So these two are the most main characters that this film is mostly concentrating on. So Chrissy goes in the house. She finds Frank all disgusting, all horrifying, and So she takes the box away from him, runs away, and then somehow winds up in the mental hospital, and that's where she like solves the box and summons those demons, or should I say the Cenobites. The Cenobites, and you see our Pinhead, Butterball, Chatter, and Lady Cenobites. Originally, I want to talk to you guys about the Cenobites. Their names were like really named. I mean, Pinhead wasn't really named as Pinhead before. He was like known as the lead Cenobite. Not until when they done the sequels on like up to Hellbound, Hellraiser 2, which I'll be talking about soon. That's where they concentrate on Pinhead, and he's like most of the evil throughout the whole film. But so almost at the end of this film, like Frank falls for. He was trapped by one of the Cenobites, so the Cenobites show up. Finally, like, all the chains like came into his face, like came to his body, like hooked up to his hand, his arms, his back, his face, like all stretched and all the blood, and you can see all the effects. It's like all the scoring. So now it was like almost a slasher movie. So this was like one of my favorite Hellraiser movies. But besides Pinhead being my most favorite Cenobite character, Chatter and Butterball were also my two favorite Cenobites. So after done talking about this film, to rate this film, I have to give it a 97 out of 100, because this film is like all bloody, it's like all fantasy, and a little mixture of nightmarish and a little bit of slashing movie as well. So, and I do own this film on DVD and Blu-ray. The next time that on St. Patrick's Day, on almost at the end of March, I'll be talking about the whole Leprechaun film. So on Sunday, which will be St. Patrick's Day, I'll be talking about is Leprechaun. And this is P.M.R.Bonez88 signing off. His saying is peace.